Chapter 2. This is an R-rated movie, come out the 6th of September 2019. It is a horror movie around 2 hours and 49 minutes long. The story of this being 27 years after their first encounter with Pennywise, the Losers Club have grown up and moved away until a devastating call brings them back. Let's jump straight into the good points. Now, the good points about this movie is director Andy Muschietti done a great job with this second movie. I really did enjoy his take and his work on art and craft on the screen. I really did. The writing behind this movie I felt was very good. I really did enjoy it all the way through. When it comes to the dialogue as well, I felt we had some really good dramatic emotional sequences, as well as the great humour which comes through in this movie, which was executed quite well. Surprisingly, there was actually quite a lot of humour in this movie. For a horror movie, I wouldn't have expected it, but the humour actually was quite balanced with the horror, the scares and everything that's in this movie. I felt they'd done a good job with that. Technically, I felt that the movie was actually quite good. I really did enjoy it, especially how they used colour correction in this movie. Because they used flashbacks, they really had to obviously try and use the colour correction very wisely in a way. And when the movie gets darker and darker and you start obviously trying to find Pennywise, they really used colour correction quite well. I felt like the editing was top notch. Tension building, I really find it quite good in this movie. Maybe not as good as the first movie, but still, I still feel that consistency when it comes to the tension building, as well as the jump scares. I really did enjoy the jump scares in this one more than the first one. I really jumped out of my seat quite a lot in this movie, and it's quite shocking. I'm hearing a lot of people in their reviews saying it wasn't scary, it didn't make me jump. Maybe they're trying to be a bit macho, and yeah, that didn't scare me, but really there was quite a lot of jump scares, and which I really did enjoy because it is a horror movie. One of the best things about this movie, of course, is the cast. I think they really chose the cast perfectly, and not only that, we get some great performances in there. We have Jessica Chastain playing as Beverly. I really enjoyed her playing the older role of Beverly, because Beverly was an interesting character from the first movie, if you remember. She suffers quite a lot with her father and her family at home, and then in this movie you get to see where she's gone forward in her life, and I think her story arc and character arc really well made in this movie. James McAvoy playing as Billy or Bill. I really did enjoy him in this movie, and I'm not shocked at all. He's definitely one of my favourite actors. This guy is superb, and I think he was a perfect choice to play this character. And another thing is, when he does that stutter, it really sounds like the character from obviously Split when he has a stutter in that movie. I really did notice that, and I tried not to pay too much attention to it, but really great performance from these two especially. Bill Hader as Richie. I really did enjoy this guy. He adds a lot of comedy to the movie, but then adds them emotional sequences in the movie as well. Really comes through and showing his obviously profession in acting. Even as a comedian, you can show how good your acting skills are in these type of movies. I think he done a great job and was one of the surprising actors for me in this movie. Mike, Ben and Eddie. These are three characters played by Isaiah Mustafa, Jay Ryan and James Ranson. I thought these three had quite good performances in the movie as well. Not maybe as good as the first three, but really they add some good dimension and really good picks for obviously these characters. But who stole the show? Of course, Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. He was the real deal in this movie. You've got James McAvoy, Jessica Chastain, Bill Hader knocking out top class performances, but this guy's Pennywise. He just suits the role perfectly. And the cast was coming out saying how scary obviously Bill Skarsgård was as Pennywise in this movie, how the adults were scared as well as the kids. You can definitely see that and feel that in this movie. He was absolutely excellent. With the character of Pennywise, a lot of people complain how the first one, he was more in the dark and stuff, and they found him more intimidating, which I do understand. But in this one, he does come out in the open quite a bit, which also can make it quite scarier for the characters in the movie, because imagine you felt like you could deal with him just in the dark and not in the light, but now he's starting to come out and really start making his presence known as this big threat, which I really found quite intimidating. Obviously, the youngsters who actually were in the first movie are in this movie. Obviously, Finn Wolfhard, Wyatt Oleff, Jaden Martell, Sophia Lillis, and all the others. They were just absolutely great in this movie again. Really continuing from the first movie. The main thing about this movie for me is how they had the essence of obviously the Losers Club. If you feel that in the first movie, they continued that in this movie with the youngsters and then with the adults. I really felt that the adults were just as good as youngsters with that whole essence, that whole team, that whole family type friendship and bonds. It was really great. And the last point I want to mention in the good points is that final battle, guys. Wow. Onto the bad points. Now, the bad points about this movie, in my opinion, is the CGI. The CGI was quite bad in this movie. There were some moments which was top notch. You could really see the moments which they felt they needed to use it and it was used correctly. And then there were some moments where there was a little bit of de-aging issues. There was also some Pennywise moments which I felt, wow, is a bit overused. And some of the monsters they made Pennywise into could have been a bit better, in my opinion, when it comes to the CGI, which was quite gutting because the first movie was so well crafted in that manner. One part of the movie, in my opinion, felt quite repetitive as well. They kept, where the characters split up, it felt quite repetitive. It was showing one person's story, then the second, then the third, and then the call happens when they're coming back and you hear the continuous phone calls to each character. It just feels quite repetitive and can cause some pacing issues. In my opinion as well, the movie could at least be cut down by half hour. I feel like it was definitely a bit too long. It feels like movies nowadays are seeing that these big movies are going like 3 hours, 3.5 hours, and they're trying to meet that, and they don't need to do that with this type of movie. It Chapter 1 was perfect in its own way, and this needed to match it. And I felt like the movie was a bit too long, and they could have definitely cut it down. Now, when it comes to the main problem for me with this movie, all the others have been mentioned quite frequently from other reviewers, but for me, the main problem was how all the characters split up. I felt like it caused a narrative problem. If you remember in the first movie, it was about the whole Losers Club coming together and learning they were better as a team against Pennywise. And in this movie, they sort of just chucked that away. So they sort of like say, you got to forget that sort of thing. And it is quite annoying, and it makes you feel like you were stupid and the first movie weren't needed in that sort of aspect. They just sort of tried to make you like forget it, and it's stupid. It really is, because they should have stuck together like they did in the first movie, and it wouldn't feel so like useless, that first movie. It's sort of, they should be companions, and some aspect in there it feels like they're not. So guys, it's rating time. Let's have a look what the critics had to rate this movie. We have IMDb giving a 7.3 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes giving a 65%. And Metacritic giving a 59. My rating for this movie is an 8 out of 10. That makes this a totally awesome movie. Overall, guys, this is a highly anticipated movie for the rest of the year for most people, and a lot of people went in expecting it to be as good as number one or contend with number one. I just went in expecting a good movie, around a 7 rating. I really did, and what I come out with is obviously a 8 out of 10, which is even better than I expected, in my opinion. And not only that, I was hearing a lot of reviews before going in, which sort of changed my mind. Obviously, how I felt about going, I was a bit deflated, but then when I got there and watched the movie, I see what people's problems were, but they weren't as bad as everyone made them, really, in my opinion. Now, I feel like obviously there are bad points which are noticeable. They're the good points in there that are really good as well. I feel like it is a good companion to the first movie, but not a great companion to the first movie. As mentioned, obviously, where the characters split up and the narrative problems does cause that to be not a great companion, which could have been dealt with a lot better, in my opinion. But the story is a must-know for me. I haven't read the book, so I needed to go and see it, even though all the bad ratings and reviews were coming out for this movie, because many people's expectations were just not met. So I haven't read the book, so someone who has probably read the book would find this maybe a bit more insulting in a way. That's what I'm hearing online anyway, but really I felt like it was a good second movie and a good companion to the first movie. So guys, 8 out of 10 for It Chapter 2. What was your ratings? Don't forget to let me know your thoughts and ratings in the comment section down below. Of course, I'd love to hear what you think about this movie. And don't forget, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please do smash up that thumbs up button. It helps the video out, helps the channel out, and also helps me out. And I'm really, really grateful to whoever supports the channel, of course. If you're new here and you like stuff like this, like movies and TV series, please do subscribe and hit that bell. So much more on the way when it comes to this channel, and so much already on the channel. Lately, I've already done my top 10 favourite directors, as well as top 10 film trilogies. I also do reviews, reaction to trailers, and ranking videos from the worst to the best. So please just subscribe and hit the bell. You will not be disappointed. Without further ado, guys, thank you very much for watching. I've been me, you've been you, and I'll see you next time, guys, on Talking with Jay Springer.